This is the garden on July 11th, 2020. It's been a very, very, very hot 2 weeks with no rain. But yesterday it rained and today it's cooled off down to the 23, 24 mark. The zebra grass there on the other side of the white truck is doing well. It's in love with the water that comes down between the two houses through that ditch. The weeping mulberry tree, even though I cut off a giant branch in the spring, is getting bigger. Those weeping mulberry branches will be right down to the steps and the driveway in about 3 weeks. The weeping pine tree looks like it's going to fall over, but that's just the way it grows, and it's loving it. It's getting bigger, bigger, and bigger. Hibiscus likes the sun and the water. The lavender, the euonymus are in heaven. The goat's beard has finished blooming, but now it's turning into a reddish pinkish color. The smoke bush, there wasn't a leaf or a branch anywhere on that. I trimmed it back so much in April, and now it's in heaven. The tall, thin yucca plants are flowering. The bottoms look like that. Tops look like that. There's one over there in that yard, a yucca. Everywhere, the roses are okay still, but everywhere throughout my garden you'll see potatoes. That's a potato. I planted potatoes just to see what I could do. So I'm working on the path now. I took out the flagstones. I'm putting pea gravel in, easier to walk on. More potatoes. Potatoes, all the tall, skinny green things are potatoes. The hostas are in heaven. That's peas and beans mixed together with maybe the odd squash, cucumber, and pumpkin. Yes, there's kale and Swiss chard in there too. It's doing well this year in the beans and the peppers. Another potato, tall skinny potato. My mint is growing in these little blocks along here. More potatoes and beets, carrots, onions. If you ever need a beautiful plant to hang or to set out, get petunias. They never, ever, ever give up all spring and summer. They just keep blooming and blooming and blooming, but they do need water. Petunias are lovely. Chimnea there is waiting for a little fire. I don't have many fires, but the odd time I burn a little bit of something. Some pine cones or something. This is a nice shady area. The birds, when they're looking for seeds in the spring and in the fall and in the winter, love this area. Spider plant from in the house. The quince bush doing well. Another smoke bush. I'm right underneath a cut leaf red maple. trimmed it quite a bit over the years. It just goes crazy too. It loves it in a shaded area, and it loves sun too. But the potatoes, boy oh boy, they're tall. They're almost as tall as me. And remember, it's a root vegetable, so the potatoes grow underneath the ground, and you dig those up after everything dies off in around September, October. Lovely carrots and beets. Some Swiss chard in there, and that big green plant right there, that's the catnip. Cat loves to eat that. So I've got a mock orange that's finished blooming. It's time to trim it. My flagstones, I move them here to edge the garden. Keep the pea gravel off the grass. Don't have much grass though. Another petunia plant. This was a cherry tree, but it died. So I'm thinking of carving it, making it into some kind of a garden sculpture. I have lots of bird baths. Lots. This is another area that I was working on to try to make it more patio looking. So I used some flagstones there. And we bought this shade tent at a garage sale for a couple of bucks, and it's doing well. Clothesline. Love the clothesline. It's the best clothesline I've ever had. It doesn't rust. You can leave it out all winter if you want. That green tree there beside the clothesline, that's a larch tree or a tamarack tree. It's the only deciduous coniferous tree I have in the yard, which means that it loses its needles in the fall like the deciduous trees, like the maple tree. Loses its leaves. Well, this tamarack larch tree, some people call it, does that. The fern garden is going crazy. More euonymus. The garden is guarded by my Buddha that raises up all the positive energy. The lady. Yesterday I bought a few spotlights at the Canadian Tire to highlight some of those sculptures. Another mock orange, or another cutleaf maple tree in front of the barbecue area. By the way, it's an electric barbecue, so I plug it in and unplug it. It works great. I don't have any charcoal or any of that stuff going on. So I bake a lot of things in there when it's hot in the house. I don't turn on any ovens. It's a white pine tree. Remember, the white pine tree is a tree to have in your yard if you live in southwestern Ontario anyway. Maybe anywhere in southern Ontario. The white pine tree gives off all kinds of positive chemicals to protect your body. Even cancer cells that are dormant in most people's body, that will make sure they don't wake up. So I'm working on this path today. It's going to become a mulch path. I think I'll use brown mulch. Down there I've got a lot of driftwood. Now that green tree there that's growing out of the stump, that was a giant, huge 50-foot tree that I had to cut down. I won't give you the reasons why, but I didn't kill it. I cut it off right there. And it's growing again. So I'll just keep that under control. It's very healthy. Yep. And another garden that I'm going to take my hostas from the other side of the house and put them here. Make this into a hosta garden. The periwinkle, which is a great ground cover. You can walk all over it. It grows easily. It's not invasive like maybe snow on the mountain, that goutweed variegated white and green plant that I used to have here. I got rid of that fast. And I have some blue grasses down there, blue fescue, That green tree there is another lilac tree. It's just a year old. It loves it. Lilacs are beautiful flowering bushes / trees that grow very quickly. So this is the garden in July.